Hello, third graders. This is a math expression lesson for Unit 4, Lesson 2. Yesterday, we were introduced to unit fractions. Oops, I thought I had something here. Yesterday, we were introduced to unit fractions. And in the unit fractions, we started out by understanding what it is that we are talking about here. I'm actually going to just go down to the bottom and add another page to just review. Maybe, if it loads. All right. So what we did yesterday is I started out by talking to you about the unit fraction. So we ended up by discussing the fraction bar, which is a long rectangle. So not a very well drawn fraction bar, but I digress. We have a fraction bar. This represents one whole. But sometimes we're talking about less than 1, but bigger than 0. And so we could take this one whole fraction bar and we can divide it up into 3 pieces. And so another way to represent this one whole would be to add up what we called unit fractions. A unit fraction tells us what one piece is valued at. The numerator has to be a 1. The denominator tells us how many equal parts there are in our whole. So for here, we've got 1 part, 2 parts, 3 parts. So there are 3 parts in our whole, and that would be our denominator. In order for me to represent this entire fraction bar that I've represented on the screen, I would have to add together and find the sum of the unit fractions. So I already have 1/3. I've got another third and another third. There's 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3. When you add these together, how many thirds do I have? Well, I have 1, 2, 3. 3 thirds, which also equal that one whole. There we go. Now, remembering that from yesterday is going to be valuable in what we do today. It's going to be very much the same. For my students, I would like you to please make sure that you write your name, number, date at the top of the paper. And today is 4/13/21. Sorry, Mr. Beaver. We are using fraction bars today. As you can see in example 1, we have divided the fraction bar into unit fractions. The directions say to shade each fraction bar to show the fraction that is given to you on the left here. Then we're going to write the sum of the unit fractions under that shaded part. Well, good news for number 1, which they've done for us. 1/6, we've shaded in one of the unit fractions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are not shaded. And so our sum here is just 1/6. Number 2, I'm actually going to zoom in so it's easier for me to write on the screen. If you're using a digital platform to do this, it's a good idea to zoom in and write while it's larger rather than trying to write while it's smaller. So this one tells me, and I'm going to first look at the denominator. How many equal parts do I need? I need 3 equal parts. So I am going to do my best to cut this whole into 3 equal parts by placing 2 lines. 1, 2. You can see that I've got 1, 2, 3 parts here. Now the next direction tells us to shade in 2 of the thirds, 2/3. So I'm going to do that by switching my transparency, and I think I'm even going to use purple here. And I'm going to shade 1/3, and I'm going to shade 2/3 right here. Okay, so now I've got my parts shaded in like I need to. The next set of the directions, let me go back up here. It says write the sum, which means this is an addition problem, of the unit fractions under the shaded parts. So I've got, oops, I don't want that transparency. There we go. I've got 1/3 plus 1/3. How many thirds do I have? I have 2/3. Now, the denominator is not being added together because that's just providing us information. The denominator is telling us how many equal parts are in the whole. And there's 1, 2, 3. So that information stays the same. The numerator is what we're talking about. And today on number 2, we're talking about the shaded parts. Well, there's 1/3, 1/3 to equal 2/3. Number 3. Ugh. How many equal parts are there? There are 8. So I'm going to draw 7 lines, which I'm not so great at doing this perfectly, so don't judge me. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to draw 7 lines to separate this one whole into 8 equal parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now let me double check. It's obviously not perfect, guys. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8. Good. Now my directions say to shade in how many parts? What are we talking about? We're talking about 7 of these equal parts here. So I'm going to take my transparency back down, switch into purple, and I'm going to shade in 7 of these equal parts. 1, oopsies, I want it to be bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And just like I did in the last one, we are going to write the sum of the unit fractions under the shaded part. So, because our equal parts are 8, 1/8 is our unit fraction. So I have, always do that with the transparency. I have 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8. Obviously, these are not actually equal, but I'm trying. Plus 1/8 plus 1/8. And so, how many does that equal? How many 8s do I have? Let's double check our work here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 8s. And that matches what we have over here. We've done that one correctly. Make sure that you pause as you need to complete your own page. Number 4, 1 whole. How many equal parts do we want in number 4? Well, let's look at our denominator. Our denominator is a 4. So we want 4 equal parts represented here. I am going to draw 3 lines. 1, 2, 3. That one's a little bit better there. And how many of my equal parts do I want to shade in? I want to shade in 2 of them. So let's go back. I'm going to get my stuff all situated here to do that. 1, 2. So what would our unit fraction be for number 4? If you said 1/4, you're correct. Because our denominator is a 4, our numerator has to be a 1 to show a unit fraction. So 1/4. And we're going to add together. We're going to write the sum of the unit fractions under the shaded parts. 1/4 plus 1/4. How many fourths do we have? I have 2/4. Number 5. Our whole needs to be divided up into 6 parts. So I'm going to draw 5 lines to make 6 parts. Okay, I did 3 lines here, so I got to make it a little bit smaller because it's a larger denominator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 6 parts, but this is just not good enough for me. So I'm going to start over. I'm going to erase those. Let me make them a little bit bigger. So let's try this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still not perfect, but it's better than the last one. And I think I'm going to keep this one because it's good enough for us. All right. Next, I am going to shade in the parts that they're asking us to shade in here. And how many of the sixths, it's a fun word, do I have to shade in? 5. I'm going to first double check to make sure I've got 6 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So I'm going to shade in 5 of them. 1 part, 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts, 5 parts. Good. Next, my directions say to write the sum of the unit fractions under the shaded parts. So I am going to do just that. I'm getting better at switching here. Each unit fraction has to have the same denominator that represents how many equal parts there are. And there are 6 equal parts. And for a unit fraction, the numerator is always one of those parts. 1. So 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 equals, how many sixths do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 sixths. I have a hard time saying that. Do you guys say that okay? Sixths. I feel like I'm Voldemort. Okay. Shameless Harry Potter reference. Sorry about that. Number 6. We have 1 whole. Let's check our denominator to see how many equal parts we want in this whole. 8. So I'm going to draw 7 lines to make 8 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not perfect, but better than what I had hoped. I'm not great at this. So let's double check to make sure we have 8 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Now, how many parts do we want to shade? What are we talking about? 3 parts. So I am going to switch this around so I can shade in 3 parts. 1, 2, thank you, Mrs. Krieger. 3. there are 3 equal parts that we have shaded in out of the 8. Our directions say to write the sum of the unit fractions under the shaded parts. So our denominator is 8. That's not going to change because 8 is how many equal parts there are in this whole. So our unit fraction is one of those equal parts, 1/8. There are 3 of them, so let's keep going. 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8. How many eighths do we have? We have 3/8. Good. It matches. Okay, let's flip the paper over. Just like we have fraction bars, another way to do this is with a number line. So when you're doing fractions in this section, you are going to first divide each number line into the correct number of unit fractions. Then label each point. Show the target fraction right here by looping or circling the unit fractions that make it. Okay, so for this one, let's notice something. Actually, let's notice on all of these that 0 and 1 have already been labeled. So what we have to do is we have to divide each number line into the correct unit fractions. So 1/6, our denominator is a 6. So we need 6 equal parts. I'm going to draw 5 lines. And again, I'm not great at this. I'm going to actually make that a little bit smaller. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I think I'm going to do that again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks a little bit better. Now they're asking us to label each point. So here we have 0 out of 6, 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, 6/6. Okay, done. I have labeled each point. Now let's take a look at our target fraction, 1/6. We're going to loop the unit fraction that makes it. And I'm going to change color and thickness here for you. So 1/6, I just am going to circle that right there. There it is, ready for you to do. 1/6, 2/3, 7/8. Is that the same number up here? It is. 1/6, 2/3, 7/8, 2/4. Ah, did you guys notice that they use the same fractions on both pages, but we're using different strategies to represent our target fraction? Okay, so let's keep going here. I'll zoom in just a bit. Now, for number 8, I'm looking at my denominator. How many equal parts do I want? I want 3 equal parts. So I'm going to draw 2 lines. 1, 2. And so right here, I've got 0/3. And typically we don't have to do that, but 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. And our target fraction is 2/3. So I'm going to loop around. Oops, it actually wants me to loop the unit fraction. So I'll do that. 1/3 and 2/3. I have represented my target fraction. Good job. Pat yourself on the back if you did it good. Okay, number 9. How many equal parts do I need for number 9? I need 8 equal parts. So let me switch my colors. Ugh. All right, this is one I'm not good at. 1, 2, Good enough. Okay, and so I am going to represent each unit fraction on here. So I've got 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8. And I just got 0. That is the worst 0 in the history of zeros. There we go. Now I'm going to loop the unit fractions to represent my target fraction. So I need to loop in 7/8. So 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, and 7/8. It's good to use a pencil in this section here, Voyagers, because sometimes we make mistakes. You've seen me erase a couple times already. Let's keep going. Number 10. How many equal parts do we need represented in number 10? I need 4. So let's do it. Do I have 4 equal parts? Yeah, they're not exactly equal. Let me try one more time. That's a little bit better there. Now I need to label each unit fraction. So I've got 0, I've got 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. Bravo. Next direction, say to loop the unit fractions to represent our target fraction, and our target fraction is 2/4. So 1/4, 2/4, and we're done. We've represented our target fraction of 2/4. Number 11, how many equal parts do we need represented here? Let's look at our denominator. We need 6 equal parts. They've already got 0 and 1, just like they've had all along. So I am going to draw lines to the best of my ability with my eraser ready, just in case I make a mistake, into 6 equal parts. I think I've done it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not perfect, but it's better than I was doing before, so I'm getting better. So we're going to start now by labeling each unit fraction. And we start with 0, 0/6, 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, and 6/6. Well done. Now we need to look at our target fraction and circle the unit fractions that represent 5/6. So let's do it. I've got 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, and 5/6. We have circled our unit fractions to represent 5/6. Bravo, Voyagers. Number 12. Let's first double check. We've got our 0 and our 1 labeled at the extreme opposite ends. And how many equal parts do we need to represent here? I see the denominator is an 8. So we need to have 8 equal parts. Okay, so let's do this. I was eyeballing it there for a second. That's why I paused and hesitated. I think that looks about right. Let's double check to make sure that we have 8 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, good. Now I need to label my unit fractions. And remember that a unit fraction is talking about just one of our equal parts. So we're starting out with 0, but our denominator stays the same. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8. Okay, now I'm going to circle the unit fractions to represent our target number of 3/8. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8. Bravo. Voyagers, did you notice that when we have a 1, when we're talking about one whole, the numerator and the denominator are always the same? So for this one, 8/8 or 8/8 is equal to 1. 6/6 is equal to 1. 4/4 is equal to 1. 8/8 is equal to 1. 3/3 is equal to 1. 6/6 is equal to 1. Interesting factoid. Voyagers, your check for understanding, which you are going to complete on your own. Explain how exercise 6 and exercise 12 can both be used to show 3/8. So here is exercise 12. It's the one that we did right here. And exercise 6 is the same one we did right here. But we used two different things, two different representations in this lesson. We used fraction bars to show fraction targets or target fractions by finding the sum of the unit fractions. We shaded. And on the back side, we used number lines and we looped the unit fractions. Tell me how both 6 and 12 can be used to show 3/8. You're going to need to use words. Okay, so when I ask you to explain something, use words. If you're writing your answer down, please make sure that I can read your check for understanding for full participation credit. If you're submitting this lesson using Kami, you could insert a video or a voice comment as well as typing your response or writing your response. Make sure that when you are done, if you're using Kami, you hit turn in here, or you could submit a well-lit, clear picture to the Schoology assignment. Voyagers, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. When you're done with this lesson, move on to Think Central Lesson 4.2. See you soon.